and Stacy Collins.
Well, hi there, and welcome to The Leading Edge. I am Mindy Odlin.
And I am Stacy Collins.
Hi, Stacy. We are both here to help you grow your organization and grow as a leader on purpose. This is fun. You excited?
Yes, I'm so excited.
So excited. We are just kicking this off, episode 1 today. And today we are going to start with really the building blocks of a healthy organization, which is your mission. But first, we always start with connection, right? We always start with a check-in. So my name is Mindy Odlin. Let me just introduce myself a little bit so you know who I am and why we're doing this show together. And then I'll let you get to know Stacy a little bit. So I am, I have been the spiritual leader of multiple New Thought churches. And about 10, 12 years ago, I wrote a book and took a break from ministry. Actually, I took a break from ministry so I could start this little radio network called Unity Online Radio, which, we're full circle. We're back here today, and that's super exciting to be back. About that time, I wrote a book, and I went on the circuit of New Thought churches and doing talks and workshops and things like that. And I was also living in Dallas-Fort Worth at the time. And in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you've ever been there before on a Sunday morning, there are incredibly huge mega churches practically everywhere you go. People would be coming out of church on Sunday morning, and there would be police officers directing traffic out of these churches because there were so many people attending. And at the same time, I was out on the road and I was speaking in New Thought churches, doing my book tour, and noticing that in our New Thought churches, I wasn't seeing the same type of response, right? There were no police officers in the road directing traffic. So I started asking myself, why is that? Like, our teachings are so transformational. They're so amazing. Why aren't people just lining up to get to it? And so I started studying that, and it began a almost decade-long now study of mission-centric ministry and how do you grow a healthy organization. We've got the teachings, we've got amazing leaders and amazing people in our communities. So what was the missing piece? And what we're going to talk about today is what I believe to be that missing piece. So I'm excited about that. So before we get into that, I want to introduce my fabulous co-host, Stacy Collins. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Mindy. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yeah.
And as Mindy said, my name is Stacy Collins, and I'm coming at you from the nice and balmy Houston, Texas area. And, I've been a part of Unity of Houston. I've been on staff there for about 6 years now. But the amazing thing happened for us about 3 years ago, and that was we discovered small group ministry through Mindy Odlin, through a program she created named SpiritGroups. And I've been able to be the program director for that group, that program. And what I've noticed is just the power of connection and community that happens when we focus on our mission, when we drive these connections. And as Mindy said, when we find out what it is that people are seeking when they come to spiritual community. So I'm just excited to be exploring these ideas and happy to be here. And we would love to hear from you too, for your question, any questions you might have to connect with you. And so you can give us a call here at 816-251-3555. That's 816-251-3555. We'd love to hear from you.
You're a pro at this, Stacy. This is so much fun. And we're so excited to get to have this opportunity to connect with you, to hear your stories, to answer your questions, and to help you as you grow a healthy organization, whatever your organization may be. It may be a ministry, it may be some other purpose-driven, mission-focused organization. We're here to give you some tools and some ideas to help you grow. In fact, as we go through, we're on the beginning, part 1 of a 12-part series. And throughout this series, if you would like to go deeper, we're going to be posting additional resources from each show on our Patreon community, which is for our supporters. And if you'd like to go to patreon.com/spiritgroups and make a contribution of any amount, it is so helpful for us to support not only this program, but the work that's being done in New Thought Ministries through small groups. So that's at patreon.com/spiritgroups. And we'll be posting each episode and some show notes and any additional resources that we talk about. We'll be posting them in that Patreon group. So yeah. So are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's roll up our sleeves and do this. So I have done a lot of really exciting things. Some of them have been spectacular successes, and even more of them have been spectacular failures. And I've probably learned as much or more from the things that didn't work as I have from the things that have. And now, we were just rounding out our 8th year of working with New Thought churches, doing small groups through the SpiritGroups program. And I've seen, I can pretty quickly assess, when I talk to a new church, what the health of their organization is. Because I truly believe that success comes from clarity, and the clarity has to begin with being clear on what your purpose is. And so that's where we begin this series, is clarity of purpose. What is your mission? So to speak to what that means, let's talk about this idea, because this has become kind of a buzzword. Mission-centric ministry. It has become the buzzword, and everybody knows they should do it, but not everybody knows what it is.
Exactly. Yes.
So what do you think of, Stacey, when you hear the phrase mission-centric ministry? What does that mean to you?
It means, I love that you use the word clarity and knowing what our purpose is, and that everything that we choose to do, because let's face it, if you're in a New Thought community, you're probably not short of great ideas, right? We tend to grow very creative people in our communities, but it's about, does it work with the purpose of our community, what we have determined, and how we go about that? I think you're going to talk about how we go about creating those purpose statements or visions, right?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, in today's episode, we will actually do a mission statement makeover. So if you have got a mission statement, either a personal mission statement or an organizational mission statement, and you want to put it to the test, then have your phone handy, because later in the show today, we're going to be opening the lines and giving you a makeover if you'd like a little help with your mission statement. Or maybe you're like, our mission statement is the best, and you want to share it so that you can inspire others as well. So we'll be reviewing mission statements and what makes a successful mission statement. Before we do, I just want to talk about this buzzword of mission statement ministry, because in the past, in our New Thought movement, we really evolved as primarily a minister-centric organization. That's sort of where the training went, and we had very dynamic, and we still do. We have incredibly dynamic ministers who are very powerful, incredible leaders. And so we have this culture that we have established over the years, over the decades, over the century, of having very strong leaders leading our communities. And that would be what we would call a minister-centric ministry. And that's something that was very successful in the 20s and the 30s. And in the past, it worked very well. But the paradigm is shifting. Now, here's what tends to happen if we aren't in a mission. This is how you know you're not in a mission-centric ministry. What happens in a lot of ministries is, if it is minister-centric, the minister carries basically the weight of the organization. The minister is responsible for everything. And when you give a mission statement, when the board comes up with a mission statement, basically that mission statement is directed to the minister and said, here's your job, go do this.
It's more like a job description.
It is. It is. Like, this is what you are supposed to do. And that's how you know you're in a minister-centric ministry, because the minister will feel like that's my job. And while, yes, it is, but mission-centric ministry is a little bit different. So what happens when there's a person that has that much power and authority is, sometimes people feel like their voices aren't being heard. Sometimes people feel like they don't have a say. And so there's these undercurrents, these little grumblings of, we want to have more control, we want to have more say. And so as soon as that minister leaves for whatever reason, it will swing to what I call community-centric ministry, which is where everything goes to committee, everything goes to a vote, everything is, the board's going to decide, and the board becomes an operational board, that nothing happens. When I first founded my first church, we didn't buy staples without the board voting on it. So, we were a little baby church just getting started. So every decision was made by the community, and we kind of went back the other way. And we did this pendulum swing from, okay, now the minister's in charge. Okay, now the community's in charge, and now the minister is in charge. Because when it's community driven, I mean, you think, oh, that's great. Everybody gets their say. Everybody gets to put their 2 cents in. But the challenge with that is you have a lot of people making decisions for the church who aren't trained as ministers, who don't understand organizational development or leadership. And so decisions are slow, and sometimes they're not the best for the big picture because everybody is seeing their little piece. So how do you get out of that pendulum of going minister-centric, community-centric? And that is this new paradigm. It's like taking that old paradigm and setting it aside and stepping into a new paradigm called mission-centric ministry, where it's not about what the minister wants to create. It's not about what the board wants to create or the committee wants to create. It's about what are we coming together to create together? What is the mission? And then within that mission, we all have our role. The minister has a role in making that mission happen. The board has a role. The congregation has a role. The membership has a role. Everyone is doing their part to create that mission. The other thing that's different about mission-centric ministry is the mission is not about the church. The mission is actually about what are we here to do as a collective? Not what are we here to do for each other, but what are we here together to do for our community or for the world? So that's the big overview of exactly what are we talking about when we say mission-centric ministry. So have you experienced it before? Have you experienced the difference between the different models?
I have, and I can relate to many of the things that you're saying here. And it's interesting. The pendulum is such a beautiful visual because you can see what we need is a center. That we kind of tend to do maybe an overcorrection after we've had a very strong leader and that's been making all the decisions. Then it's kind of the floodgates open when everybody gets a voice, right? And like I said, there's no dearth of great ideas. However, we need some focus. And I love the idea too of everyone has a role. That it's not about creating no hierarchy or no structures. It's about finding a structure in which each person can have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as you were sharing that, it made me think of like a ship where you've got the captain on one side and the crew rowing on the backside. And it's like, okay, are we rowing because the captain's saying row? Are we rowing because the people are rowing and they're just saying go, go, go? Or are we looking to the North Star and letting that navigate? And that's what mission-centric ministry is about. It's about not like we're all on the same boat together and everybody on that boat is important. And when we can work together, we can go wherever we choose to go using that North Star to navigate. So here is what I see some ministries do. So this is just sort of like a check-in, not to put anybody on the spot, but what a lot of churches will do when they hear mission-centric, we need to be mission-centric. What does that mean? So what they'll do, the first thing they'll do is they will go to a committee and start reworking mission statement. And we're going to talk about that. So that's not a bad thing to do. So thinking about their mission statement. And then the mission statement becomes, let's put it in the bulletin. Let's put it on the PowerPoint slides. Let's recite it together. Let's say it over and over and over again. And if we say it over and over and over again, we're focusing on it, and that makes us mission-centric. Not that any of those are bad things to do, but that's not what mission-centric ministry is. That's not what it is. It's not enough just to repeat it over and over and over again. It has to become the overarching, it has to become the North Star so that everybody knows how to navigate based on that North Star. The other thing that I see sometimes is congregations will think that mission-centric ministry means we have this mission statement. And if I have an idea, and like you said, we are rich with ideas. If I have an idea and it's compatible with that mission statement, then you should say yes because it's compatible, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
You probably had some of those ideas land on your desk.
Right.
So so mission-centric doesn't mean, hey, if my mission is to transform lives, I could say a yard sale could transform some lives, or I could say a choir concert could transform lives, or I could say small groups will transform lives. It's not about saying, does this idea fit? It's about having that overarching North Star and saying, okay, from this mission, what is it we want to create? And what's the best way for us to steer this ship that we're in? What's the best way for us to get there? So it's using it to determine a strategy. And then once that strategy is in place, using that strategy for clarity. So how's that feel?
Yeah, it feels better already.
It feels better already. A little less overwhelming. And that's what I hope this series helps people step into is that when you can make the shift, and obviously when you transition anything, when there's change, it can get a little messy in the middle. But if you're willing to stick with it and commit to it, ultimately it makes it so much easier because you don't have that pendulum swing of who's in charge. I want to be in charge. You don't have that power struggle because everyone's empowered. Everyone knows what they're here to do in terms of making that mission come to life. So, are you ready, Stacy, for the how-to?
Oh my goodness. I thought you'd never ask. I'm ready with my pen.
You got your pen. Okay, so if you have a mission statement, whether it's personal or organizational, get it handy, like get it in front of you. And if you know it, then take a second and just write it down. And what we're going to do is I'll give you my top 5 tips or like how to assess your mission statement. We'll put it through the ringer, through the test, and see how it does. And then if you need some help, like I don't know what else it would be, then we'll do some makeovers and play with it a little bit. So here are the top 5 things that I see when I look at mission statements that I'm always looking for to see if it is an effective mission statement. And by an effective mission statement, what I mean is you can plan a strategy to bring the mission to life. Sometimes a mission statement is so nebulous and so airy fairy woo woo that it sounds amazing. It sounds exciting, but in terms of actually putting a strategy to it, it's not very operational. And if you can't bring that idea down and plant that seed, then it's very difficult for it to ever grow, much less grow healthy. So first thing, and this is a great one. If you've just said, okay, can I write down my mission statement? Did I have to go find it? Did I have to go look it up online? So the first question to ask yourself as you look at your mission statement is it hard to remember? Is it hard to remember? Do you know your mission by heart? And here's the real test. If someone comes to your community, how many times do they have to visit before they can walk away and say your mission statement? What do you think, Stacey? How alive?
That's a good one.
Is that a good one? Like, how many times would someone have to walk in the door before they could walk out and say, wow, that ministry is about inspiring infinite connections, or whatever it might be?
Is there a right answer?
Theoretically, I don't know. So think about it. And I think, for me, I have been in, I do a lot of church shopping, especially in churches that are growing, thriving, no matter what the denomination is. I like to see what are the principles underlying that growth. And one of the things that I have seen consistently in the most healthy, and I say healthy because people are engaged, they're volunteering, they're there, there's a lot of enthusiasm. When I walk into a community like that, typically I can visit 2 times, 3 times at the most, and I can recite their mission statement because it's that alive. Not because it's that frequently repeated, because it's that alive. You can see it in everything they do, and they tie the pieces together. So throughout this series, we're going to talk about ways to do that. So if you're thinking, I don't know how to even do that. So first, ask yourself, is it hard to remember? If so, then this might be a good opportunity to clean it up a little and shorten it. A lot of times this is what happens when committees write mission statements, is they get very long because everybody wants their word in there. So if your mission statement is so long that nobody can remember it without having to cheat and look at the bulletin, then it might be time to revamp your mission statement. All right, so that's number 1. Is it hard to remember? Number 2 is it jargony? Now, I know in New Thought, we would never get jargony, right? With our Christ consciousness and our the things that we say that it doesn't even sound jargony to us because we talk like that.
Right. Right. But to someone visiting our church, what's divine mind? What's consciousness? What's, these kinds of things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even things like Mother, Father, God. I've had people come into my church like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. So paying attention in your mission statement, are there things in your mission statement that you would have to become a member to understand exactly what that means? Or is it something that you could go to your next door neighbor's 12-year-old and say, this is our mission statement. And no matter who they are or where they're from or what their background is, they can get what you're about. So that's another thing. So when you go through your mission statement, look for the jargon. And what I would do is if you have it long, if it's long, look for things you can start crossing out. And if it's jargony, circle those jargony words. And you may not even know that it's jargony because we have been in the New Thought movement for so long. So give it to someone who's not in New Thought and ask them if they have any clue what you're saying.
If they look perplexed.
Yes.
If you have to go grab the revealing word to make the point, then
right. Then maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's time to tweak that mission statement. Okay, it's also time to tweak the mission statement if, here's number 3, if your mission statement is inwardly focused. So what happens a lot of times in New Thought churches is the mission statement, because we have crafted them for our minister to execute on, it's like, here's what the minister is supposed to do for the congregation. And that's what we think a mission statement is. But actually, a mission statement in a mission-centric ministry is what the community is here to do for those outside the community. It's what we're here to do together out in the world. And so if it is inwardly focused, if you see words in your mission statement like us, or our, like it's about me, it's about what I'm here for. I've seen people, like if you say your mission is to be happy, that's inwardly focused because that's me. But I might say my mission is to inspire people to be happy. So it's great to be, there's vision statements and there's values and all those things. So it may be that what you have as a mission statement is not actually a mission statement. It might be a statement of being or a statement of vision, or it might be some values. But a mission statement is, what are you here to do together out there in the world? So if your mission statement is about us, we are a vibrant spiritual community, that's about the community. It's not about what the community is here to do in the world. So review your mission statement and look for words like our and us. And I just have to throw in here at this point that these all these opinions are of course my own, but they're based on the study of very successful churches of multiple denominations. So I know that there are those who teach different things, and there's different philosophies. This is what I find consistently in churches that are growth-minded, mission-centric. They're not inwardly focused. They're all about, we are the church and we are here for the world. The church is not here for me. I am the church and I am here for the world. So that's the shift in consciousness that creates that kind of impact. All right, so number 4. Okay, here we go. We're doing good here, just riffing right along.
Yes.
All right, so number 4 is to ask yourself, is your mission statement passive? Because as I said, your mission statement is all about the verb. It's all about what you're here to do. And if you have a we are or I am or a being verb in there, then it's more likely a vision statement. Like, this is who I see ourselves as, I see myself as being, this is who I see our community as being. A mission statement is about what are you here to do? And that's why the verb is really important. And when we do our makeovers, you'll get to see how to flip some of those mission statements if you don't have a strong verb in your mission statement right now. And finally, it's exciting. Number 5, I feel like a little drum roll.
Yes.
Here. Number 5 is check your mission statement to see, is it what you really do? Is it what you really do? And I share that because I have seen a lot of churches, local churches, with global mission statements. And if you are a global organization, like maybe Unity Worldwide Ministries might say, we are here to have a global impact. But most churches are most successful when they serve their local communities. Now, I know Houston has, is a little bit different because you all are serving people, especially with COVID, you've served a lot of people in different places. For most ministries, our greatest impact is at the local level. And if you have something in your mission statement, and it may sound great that we are awakening consciousness around the world, then your strategy has to be about global outreach. And if it isn't, then your mission statement just sounds nice. It's just a lot of pretty words. And sometimes that happens. We get really beautiful mission statements that don't really do anything. So if you maybe saw a few little things in your mission statement and you're thinking, I wonder what I could do differently, that's what we're going to be talking about next. So when we come back, Stacey, what are we going to do when we come back?
When we come back, we're going to take some calls. If anyone would like to see their mission statement made, or as Mindy said, if you think, wow, we have a fabulous one, we are so on target, and give us a call. We'd love to hear that too. So you can call us at 816-251-3555. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, so give us a call and let us know. Have your mission statement handy or have your questions handy. And Stacey and I are here every single week for the next 12 weeks, pretty much. I think we got one holiday in there, but we're going to be here to be answering your questions and helping you create healthy organizations that grow and thrive. And we're also going to be sharing with you a little bit about small groups at the end of the session today, too. So stick around, call us with your questions. We've got another great session coming up, and we can't wait to talk to you. Talk to you soon. See you soon.
Okay.
Do we have any callers?
Not yet, no.
Oh, yeah, okay. I have that. I need to make that bigger.
And your microphone is rubbing on your clothes, or you're a lot. It's on your cord, isn't it?
Here, let me see. Let me take this off. Let's see if I have less things for it to bump up.
We're getting so excited. It was just flying all over the place.
I know. I speak with my hands. I do this a lot.
Oh, you're so good, Mindy. You're so good. You're a natural speaker, though, which you know that you are.
I have so much fun with this. It's good to be back, Jeff. It's good to be back.
Yay.
Yay. Missed you. It's doing this. This is fun.
It's in your blood.
It is. It is. I'm like 3, 2, 1. Count it down. Count it down. Count it down. I love it. All right. So I hope we get some callers. And we're still recording. So I guess anyone who's watching the recording gets to see what we do on breaks.
Oh, so we better behave, right?
Yeah.
You can always,
Hey, Stacey, when we come back, let's just do a little welcome back. I'm Mindy and I'm Stacey again.
Cool. And I love the 5 things. I wonder if no one's on, maybe even a recap.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea.
And I've got some good takeaways that I was taking notes that I'll be able to share my own takeaways.
Oh, perfect. So that would be great. So we can just talk
at the end.
Awesome.
Right,
you just get into the break. You could have probably talked for maybe 10 more seconds, 15 more seconds.
Okay.
But yeah, that was good.
Good to know. I didn't know if I was going to hear the music, so it was good to hear the music.
You didn't end early, so yeah, just know that the 29:30 mark, the music starts.
Got it.
You don't hear it.
And then your music, you got like a 30-second bed?
Yeah, it's 30 seconds on the outro.
Okay. Nice. I just don't want you to have to, shut me down.
Well, I won't shut you down.
Wrap it up. Come on, wrap it up.
Well, that's how you create cliffhangers. They'll have to see.
Sometimes you just gotta, fade out.
If you see that clock strike the 14:00:00, the mic went off. You get cut off. But I usually try to record. I keep another recorder going up just to Skype, so that sometimes I can take that and add it to the end and fix it up if I made a mistake and didn't bring the music up or something. Sometimes you don't use it. It'll just happen to be so into it you won't realize the show's over.
So, wait, hey, nobody's left to listen.
And Mindy, at the end, you're gonna point them where they can email questions in too, right?
No? That's a good idea. Yeah, it'd be nice to have something that's not Patreon, so they don't have. Well, I don't know if they can. Maybe they can send it through Patreon, even if they're not donors.
You might be able to come up with make a fake text number and use that and advertise that, and they can text you questions through a text line. You use just a text number that You
That's
share
a good idea. That's a good
Uber
idea.
posts or something like that. So it's on your computer and you can see them come in like that.
We could also use the Facebook group. It's just that it won't be here. Once this goes to archives, it may not be.
Mindy Odlin and Stacy Collins.
Welcome back. This is The Leading Edge, and I'm Mindy Odlin here with
Stacy Collins. We're so excited to be here with you today.
It is so good to be connecting with you as we are talking about how do you build a healthy organization and how do we grow as leaders so that we can have the most incredible impact possible with the gifts that we've been given. So we're talking about mission. What is your purpose? Getting really clear on what is it that we are here to do, because everything is built around that. So Stacey, got any ahas so far? Some insights you want to share?
Yes, so many. I loved how you began the whole conversation with the idea that success begins with clarity. And where does clarity begin? It begins with knowing our purpose. So we've got to go back to that, as you call it, North Star. That's what our mission statement can serve as, and to really get clear about it.
Yeah. So if you've got a mission statement and you want to share it or you want to get some feedback on it, we are here for you. And the lines are open. What's the number, Stacy?
It is 816-251-3555.
So jump on in and pick our brains and let us support you in creating a mission statement that is not just inspiring, but also one that you can create an operational strategy to support so that you can bring it to life. So that mission statement is alive in your community and not just something that people are rotely reciting every Sunday. I don't know. This probably doesn't happen in your I know this doesn't happen in your ministry, but you've been in those places where it's like everybody's just reading along, la 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 la, and it just kind of drones on, and you can tell nobody is even thinking about the words or what it means. What would it look like if your mission were fully alive in your community? And so let me share this too, because right before we went to break, we talked about 5 things to look for. So a mission statement review. And if you are looking at your mission statement and going, oh dear, I have some work to do, let me give you this tip. And this is a tip I want to do a shout out to Dr. Gary Simmons, who used this in his community out in Spokane, where when he had this aha about mission-centric ministry and how this was the missing piece. And that's really, I would say, I'm paraphrasing, but for him, like this is the missing piece that we needed to put into place for everything else to work. When he really landed on that, he decided, what we usually do is we go to a committee and the committee wrestles over the words. What he decided to do, the mission statement just poof came to him. And so he went to his community and he said, I'd like to pilot this as a mission statement. I'd like to just test it out. And so if you're thinking, wow, we just did our mission statement and it didn't pass that test. So we just did our mission statement and it's long and I don't know what it is. Or I've heard ministers say, the board just did our mission statement and I don't really resonate with it, or, that's not good. I've had people say, I don't know what our mission statement is. And I've been reciting it for 3 years and I was on the committee that wrote it and I still don't know what it is. So if that is you, it might be a good idea rather than build a committee and do a big thing to maybe connect with your minister, maybe connect with a few senior leaders and just say, let's pilot something. Let's pilot and try something out for a year, 2 years, 3 years. I say, really, if you want to try something out and it's an operational change, you really got to give it 3 to 5 years, of really being committed to it to see what it's going to do. But when you have a pilot mission statement, it gives you permission to see what happens operationally. It's not do people like it? It's can we build a strategy around it? So thank you, Gary Simmons, for that idea of he piloted it and they tweaked it. They did tweak it a little bit along the way. They added a little bit to it and it became a really powerful driving force for that community. So that's a great tip. And Stacey, I know your ministry has gone through a lot of cultural shift as well related to mission. So how is that culture shift working in your community?
Yeah, so we had a senior minister change about 5 years ago. And at the time, and our mission statement right now is in process. But one thing that I love that our minister, Reverend Michael Gott, did is he invited us as a community to create purpose and value statements. And we started from a visioning, a community-wide visioning. And then we narrowed down a little bit more and did volunteer leaders, staff leaders, and did some more work, and then narrowed it down a little bit smaller to a smaller committee and came up with purpose and value statements that we use quite frequently to check, are we living into them? You'll hear these at Unity of Houston. We don't necessarily recite them, but we get messages around them, Reverend Michael will, and our programming really fits into them. And so I've seen people, it come alive when you can connect something that people are doing with our purpose. There's a difference in quality there. They're a part of something bigger than just this class they're taking, just this workshop, just this small group they're in. It's very connecting.
I love that. And I love how you said it's not rote memory. It's not just we're reciting it. You're living it and you're communicating it. And there's like every time you see something happening in your community that you can say, ooh, that's it. That's that mission alive. That's our purpose. That's that value. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Then that's what it means when your mission statement is alive. It's not just something that people can say. It's something that people are breathing and living into. So I brought a couple good examples that I think are great examples of mission statements. The first one I have is from the Holmes Institute. And this is their mission statement. And I grabbed this, and I don't know if this is still their mission statement. This is a few years old, but I did grab this off the website. It says, our mission is to prepare spiritual leaders for service in the global community. Now, what I like about this mission statement is it's very clear. Our mission is to prepare spiritual leaders. That is what that institute is there for. And to prepare them for what? For service in the global community. So it's very simple, very easy to organize a strategic plan around, very easy to implement. And you know what they're there for, so you don't have to wonder about it. So I thought that was a great example. And then my other example, and I want to do another shout out, this is to Craig Groeschel, who is the minister of a ministry called Life Church, which is a non-denominational, very, very large organization that has really been, to me, that's where I have gone to learn what it looks like and feels like to be immersed in a mission-centric ministry. Their mission is to lead people to become fully devoted followers of Christ. So it is in everything they do. By the time I had visited 2 or 3 times, I knew that that's what their mission was. And for any of the services that they provide, they are very, very generous in sharing training and how do we help as many churches, as many ministries, as many leaders as possible so that we can lead people to become fully devoted followers of Christ. That is what they are about. And there is no doubt about it. That's what you're going to get. If you resonate with that, then it's a great community for you. And that's the power of a mission statement. Someone can come in and say, oh my gosh, I am in love with what you're about. I want to be a part of that. I want to help you do that, whether it's transforming lives. That when I was in Colorado, the ministry that I was with, our pilot mission statement was transforming lives through the power of love. And so we focused on transformation and we focused on love in 5 different ways. And we'll talk about that in another episode. But we clearly had a strategy around this is about transforming people's lives through the power of love, and love as it expresses is in compassion and community and service and all these different things. So look for your mission statement. Does it have a verb that's really strong? Like, what's your verb? The verb is the most important word. In fact, if you have your mission statement in front of you, go circle all the verbs and then see if you could only have one verb, what verb would it be if you could only have one verb? And then to go back through it and see, okay, so that's the verb. Who is it for? And make sure that the who it's for is not internal, that it's externally focused. So we're here to transform lives. Maybe it's for in our community, or maybe it's, for spiritual seekers or whatever it is, but have a sense of who it is that you're here for. And it's tempting to say we're here for everybody, But really, it's more powerful if you can say, we're here for our local community. This is a church that's for the local community. Or this is a church that's for spiritual leaders. This is a church that's for, who are you here to serve? And in what way are you here to serve people? Like the Holmes Institute, we are here to prepare. There's the verb. Who? Spiritual leaders. For what? For service in the global community. For Life Church, their verb is to lead. So we're here to lead. To lead who? To lead people. To do what? To become fully devoted followers of Christ. So those elements are typically there in a strong mission statement. What is your verb? Who is it for? And what are you here to do for those people? So if you're feeling bold, we love to hear from you. If you're feeling bold and want to give us a call, lines are open. And what's that number, Stacy, again?
It is 816-251-3555. 816-251-3555.
And jot that number down and keep it handy, because each week we're going to be here and you'll have a chance to digest this and maybe think about it and come back and ask us questions. And we're happy to answer those questions for you. All right. So shall we do a couple makeovers? Are you up for some mission statement makeovers, Stacy?
Yes, that sounds fun.
Okay. Well, these are mission statements that I found online. So this was I Googled New Thought Church mission statement. And I'm not going to share what church it was with. And it's actually, one of them, I know they've changed their mission statement since this. But I want to share them just as this is what I got in a Google search. Because I think they represent what a lot of us have come from in terms of past culture. And by focusing on these and how we could make them stronger in a mission-centric organization, I think it gives us some ideas for what could we do? What could we do? And what is the difference? Okay, so the first one, this is the first one I found, and I'm not going to say the name of the church, this is our church, is an inclusive, supportive church providing spiritual teachings and experiences for a positive life. So, that sounds good. It sounds good. But in terms of the tests, we've got an is in there. We've got an our in there. So it's passive and it's inwardly focused. So it's not super active. And if I were to take this and say, okay, what's the verb? And that's where I usually start. What's the verb that is the most dominant verb? What is the word that really stands out? And for this one, it might just be, I see supportive. So we might say support, or providing. So it might be provide. So if you go through and you look at some of the words and say, where's the verb in here? Somewhere there's a verb. And then say, what are we providing? Or what are we supporting? So I might redo this one to say, our mission is to provide spiritual teachings for positive living. All the same words, but it's shorter, it's easier to remember, and it's active. Does that make sense?
It does. And so, Mindy, if I'm asking, say if that's my mission statement, and I love, say inclusive is my word. Mm-hmm. I put in, and I said, I can't part with that. We need that, because really when I was hearing when you read it for the first time, it sounded almost like a beautiful, maybe vision statement or statement of being. Is that how you would maybe put those words in?
Absolutely. I would say our community is an inclusive, supportive church. That's a vision. That's a vision for how we are going to be in this community or in the world. That's a being statement, which is it could be a very powerful mission statement or a very powerful vision statement. But your mission is about what you're here to do. So what are you here to do? So inclusive might be a value. And I'd say that might be a core value that you would say how we do it. How are we providing spiritual teachings for positive living? Well, one of the ways we do it is that we are inclusive. That's one of our core values. So if that's one of those words, and this is what happens, you get committees and people are like, oh, I can't let go of inclusive. Oh, I can't let go of diverse. I can't let go of these words that I love so much. A lot of times, some of those words that you just really want to get in, it's because they're core values. It's because you can't imagine your community without that. Your community doesn't work without inclusivity. Your community doesn't work without compassion. Whatever those words are, more than likely it is a value statement, not the mission. And we just try to put it in the mission statement because we want it to be so perfect.
We want to be inclusive with our mission statement too.
No. And so it's 10,000 words long. So great question. And that actually kind of lends itself to the second one that we have. Now, this is another one that I Googled. And this one is one of those long ones. All right, so this is the old, and I know this church doesn't have this anymore, so I think it's safe to kind of play with this too. So this one was, we pray, meditate, educate, serve, and celebrate as we awaken to Spirit's empowering presence in our lives, our community, and our world. So when I asked the board president what the mission statement was, he was like, it's something about pray, meditate, educate, something about empowering Spirit's presence. So if that's the way you are with your mission statement, then it's probably just too long. And so my recommendation on this one was, what you actually have in this mission statement is a lot of strategy. The pray and meditate and educate and serve and celebrate are actually the operational pieces of the mission statement, which is awakening to Spirit's empowering presence in our lives, in our community, in our world. If you take those pieces and say, okay, they're great, it's part of your community, you're not saying don't do them or stop doing them. It belongs somewhere else, so that you can communicate what you're here to do more powerfully. The other thing that was in this one that I was coaching them on is the idea of awakening to Spirit's empowering presence in our lives, in our community, and in our world. And so I said, well, what is your global outreach? If that's in your mission statement, so what are you doing globally? Because I know you're doing things for people's lives, and I know you're doing things in your community. What are you doing for the world? I'm like, oh, we don't really have any programs for that. It's like, oh, well, then take it out of your mission statement. It doesn't need to be there. We don't all need to be serving the entire world. If you serve your neighborhood, you can transform the world. So it's allowing that to be enough, So what do you think? To awaken the world to Spirit's empowering presence, maybe. To awaken our community, to awaken our neighborhood, something like that. So you can kind of play with it a little bit and look for the words that resonate and start honing it in a little bit. What do you think?
I think it's great. And I'm reminded of when I trained as a prayer chaplain, and it wasn't just me, but some of my fellow newbie prayer chaplains, our tendency was, when we would pray for someone in our training, we'd want to cover all the bases and include everything. Somebody may just be praying for some prosperity, but we're included, whatever you can imagine. And my prayer teacher at the time was Reverend Fairland Mann. She said, get to the point, clarity. You don't need a million words to make a powerful prayer. And that's what I'm feeling with these mission statements too.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we tend to want to, I don't know what it is, if it feels like it needs to be longer so that it covers all the bases, just in case, or maybe it's just that we just love being inclusive so much that we want to include there's so many different things that we are, and to try to encapsulate it into one statement is challenging. Especially when you have a diverse and inclusive community that is sharing ideas for what those words should be. So,
but I like what you said, particularly with the last one. If we take the to awaken, and then the prayer and meditation and all these things don't go away, but that's how we put our mission statement into practice. It's not that we're saying get rid of any of those things, but we just need to ask, are they values, or are they vision, or where do they belong?
Where do they belong? Are they operations? Is that the stool has to have the legs, and those might be the legs on the stool that are holding up that mission. So yeah, I love that. What a great example. And I've had that prayer too. And sometimes, we think that we're covering all the bases, but on the receiving end of it, it just we get lost in it and we zone out because we can't grab onto anything. And the same thing happens when people walk into our communities and they see, I've seen churches where there's a 20-page bulletin when you walk in the door. And if you're new, you don't know where to go. You don't know what to do because there's so much there that nothing sticks, versus being able to say, hey, here's what we're about. And it's simple and it's powerful and it's what we all do. And we're all excited about it. And everybody that you see here around you is excited about being a part of this. And if it resonates with you, if this mission of making a difference and transforming people's lives, or awakening to Spirit's presence, or inspiring infinite connections, if that resonates with you, then this is the place. This is home. Then this is a place where you can grow.
Yeah. And I love it too because there's something very action oriented or engaging in that. If I'm coming in and I see this really clear mission statement that lights me up, and I say, yeah, that's what I want to be a part of, I'm going to immediately start seeing the different ways that I can get plugged in to, help bring that to life.
Right. And here's the beautiful thing too, and we'll get into this further into the series, is you don't have to have, a 12-legged stool. Like if you've got 3 legs on your stool, that thing can hold you up. And sometimes it's doing less and doing it better that makes the difference. And that's a sort of a paradigm shift for some of us as well. So with that, and again, if you've got questions in our Patreon community, Patreon, patreon.com/spiritgroups, we have a place where you can share comments and ask questions. And we also have a Facebook group. So I'll put that out there, at least for now, at facebook.com/groups/spiritgroups. You can join there and ask questions as well. And we will, if we don't get to it in this episode, we can get to questions in our future episodes as well. So with that being said, Stacy, you and I both share a passion for small groups. And part of my passion for small groups comes from the fact that I don't know how to create a mission-driven organization without having a way to engage and train leaders to bring that mission to life. And by leaders, I don't mean the minister and I don't mean the board. Like, how do you equip a congregation to then fulfill that mission? And the best way that I know how is with small groups. What has your experience been in seeing people come together in small groups?
Oh my goodness, I need another hour. But it's just we kind of use the word amazing a lot. We might use the word amazing as much as we use mission centric these days, but it has been, I don't know how else to say it, to see people. There's something about hosting or leading a small group that allows people to step into leadership in a way that they may not have never, they're not LUTs or anything. They're not going to teach a class. They're not going to, but there is something that once they've hosted that first small group and seen that they can do that, it's like the sky's the limit. And they also, it catches fire with the members of their group too, because the way that especially the Spirit Groups program is designed, that each group member has an active role in the group. It engages everyone, not just the leaders. And so there's this continuous kind of upliftment of people into leadership roles at the longer that you do a small group ministry. That's what we found. And we're going into our 4th fall now. And it's just, it's been a great process. Amazing. I'm going to use it again. Amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I think that's the word. That is the word of the day. It is amazing. And I don't really know of any other way to do it. I have not seen, I haven't seen any other structures that are as duplicatable, as scalable as small groups for encouraging people to join. Like, hey, you're new? Here, find a friend and get on board. And then once they have become indoctrinated into the group culture and made some friends, then you have the opportunity to train group leaders. And then that's a level of leadership. And then from there, they, can mentor other group leaders. That's a level of leadership. And so you just have this pathway into leadership that is scalable. You can have one person who oversees your small groups, and they can be the person that is training all your leaders. And here's who we are, here's what we're about, and here's how we can support people in having a transformational experience. So your mission statement starts within. If I'm here to transform lives, I'm going to start with the lives that are here in my community, but that's not where we stop. We're going to be transforming lives here. We're going to be connecting here. We're going to be building community here, so that from our overflow, from that cup that runneth over, we can transform lives out in the world. We can inspire connection out in the world. We can build community out in the world. So that's the power of small groups to me. And if you're thinking of doing small groups, let's close with just a few ideas for what you should be doing now. So we're doing this live. It is August right now. So our small group season, best time to launch small groups is the fall. So if you plan to launch small groups in the fall, August is your time to be collecting those leaders, like tapping people on the shoulder and saying, I think you'd be great, and here's why. I think you'd be great, and here's why. And using this time to train your leaders to help them know what your mission is, how the small groups contribute to that mission, and getting ready to roll things out to your community once September rolls around. So what are you all doing, Stacy? What's happening in your community?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. We have a great fall series planned this in September, fall, Living on Purpose. And so we're going to have the Sunday series will be Living on Purpose, and we'll have some curricula for our spirit groups as well. And so I'm so excited. Actually, as of tomorrow, I've been working on them. I have little gifts that I'm sending to prospective hosts. And if any of them are listening, don't listen. Anybody that's at Unity of Houston. But just with a gift, a book that goes along with the curriculum. And I just think it's so important and a reminder. I put up one of our purpose cards in the gift because our purpose is in community, we nurture and empower each other, transforming our lives that we may serve the world. And that's what I think happens in these small groups, without a doubt. It's the transformation happens in the group, and then they don't just leave it there. They don't just leave what they've learned, all that love and feel goodery. They go out and they serve the world. They serve our community with it. So
I love it. It is awesome feel goodery. I think we need a t-shirt, a leading edge t-shirt. It's just all about the awesome feel goodery. Yes. And I love that. I love that opportunity to be reaching out to new leaders and to be planting seeds now for that fall series. So thank you all so much for being here for our very first episode of The Leading Edge. Awesome to have you here. Thanks, Stacy, for hanging out with me.
Oh, thank you for letting me be here. This was so fun.
So join us next week. Call us live. Ask us questions. We can't wait to talk to you here on The Leading Edge.
All right, good job.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. So I saw somebody join the chat, but I didn't